Well, my friends, it's Friday morning. You know what that means. The weather's fairly warm, so we're out on the front porch again, enjoying the millions of leaves in the front yard. You know what I'll be doing today? Well, we start Matthew 22, which says, "And again Jesus spoke to them in parables, saying, The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son, and sent his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. Again he sent other servants, saying, Tell those who are invited, See, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fat calves have been slaughtered, everything is ready, come to the wedding feast. But they paid no attention and went off, one to his farm, another to his business, while the rest seized his servants and treated them shamefully and killed them. The king was angry, and he sent his troops and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Then he said to his servants, The wedding feast is ready, but those invited were not worthy. Go therefore to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many as you find. And those servants went out into the roads and gathered all whom they found, both bad and good. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to look at the guests, he saw there was a man who had no wedding garment. And he said to him, Friend, how did you get in here without a wedding garment? He was speechless. Then the king said to the attendants, Bind him hand and foot and cast him into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. Well. I think today we have actually two parables. I think we have the parable of the wedding feast, and then Matthew's added this additional information that changes the meaning of it almost. The parable of the wedding feast, it seems to me, actually says those who were expected to be invited wouldn't come. So we rounded up everybody in the countryside who might be available, which is to say, the Messiah comes to the Jews, but the Jews aren't interested, and so we'll round up all these other people, these Gentiles, and let them in. And so it's a parable about grace, right? I think it is. God's grace extends to everybody, whether they're a part of the in group or not, which is all good news for us. Then Matthew turns it around and has this bit about the king coming in and fussing at the guy who has no wedding garment. Of course, the guy was just out there on the street, hanging out, and they rounded him up and said, Come on to the wedding feast, come on in, you're welcome, it's grace. And all of a sudden he needs a wedding garment, and he's speechless because he doesn't know what to say. And the king then throws him into this terrible punishment, because many are called, but few are chosen. So I'm not sure how we're supposed to take that. It seems to be not quite the opposite of grace, but a different take on everything that Matthew has here. And so he's combining these parables that Jesus told in a way that I'm not sure what to say. It's not like it undermines Jesus' teaching, but it does change it. So many are called, but few are chosen. That seems to indicate that God's grace is much more restrictive than the other parable, the first part of the parable would have said. And see, this is why being a preacher gets so hard, because you got to figure these things out. And I'm doing it on the fly here for you this morning, and I'm not sure how to respond, except to say that we want to be sure that we're called and chosen. And so when God calls us to come in, we need to get a wedding garment. Now, how do we do that? I think through prayer and Bible reading and worship and preparing ourselves as best we can to be a part of God's kingdom. So take that for your Advent devotion this morning. Prepare yourself, because you don't know how God's going to respond, react, and treat you when the kingdom comes. Is he going to be gracious and let all of us in, or is there going to be some requirement? Think about that today and let's pray about that. We'll see you tomorrow, Saturday morning. See you then.